The New Forest National Park, a unique and beautiful haven for wildlife and free-roaming ponies. A working forest with thriving communities and charming villages. A place to slow down, explore and enjoy the wonder of nature. Covering 220 square miles, the New Forest is one of the smallest but most visited national parks in the UK, with easy rail links from Southampton, Bournemouth, London and beyond. But the New Forest isn't new or just a forest, but a patchwork of ancient woodlands, lowland heaths and vibrant coastlines. Its long history stretches back to Bronze Age barrows and Roman roads linking settlements to trade and industry. It was previously known as Etain, the land of the Jutes, before it was claimed by William the Conqueror as a royal hunting ground, renaming it Nova Foresta in around 1079. You can discover more about the forest's fascinating history in the New Forest Centre's reference library on the first floor. But the real architects of the New Forest are its famous ponies. Their grazing has shaped the landscape from the close-cropped lawns to the distinctive browse line on trees, marking the highest point ponies can reach. They may look wild, but in fact they're owned by people called commoners. They have traditional rights attached to their properties to turn their animals out on the open forest.
It's a real privilege to be a New Forest commoner because our animals are so intrinsically linked to the landscape, and we know that their grazing contributes massively to the biodiversity of the forest. We're very proud of our commoning culture and heritage and feel it's very important to pass on our skills and knowledge from one generation to another to ensure that commoning continues into the future and helps to create this fantastic landscape that we live in today.
Walk almost anywhere in the heathlands and unfenced woods and you'll find grazing livestock, including ponies, cattle, donkeys and in some places sheep. There's plenty of food for them throughout the year. In the autumn, you'll see pigs in amongst the trees, hoovering up fallen acorns which are poisonous to ponies and cattle. The animals of the New Forest live off the land throughout the year, adapting to the seasons. A watchful eye is kept on them by the verderers of the New Forest, who employ people called agisters to attend to any sick or injured animals.
The agisters are out on the forest daily. It's their job to check the animals and make sure that they're all in good fettle. If there is any problems, they identify the animal through the brands, remove that animal from the forest, and it goes back onto the owner's holding.
Some of the ponies or their foals are also taken off the forest to be sold at Bewley Road sales yard, where they are still auctioned in guineas rather than pounds. Several times a year the yard is crowded with ponies, commoners, people looking to buy, and others just looking. Many of the New Forest's most spectacular sights can be found in its majestic woodlands. The forest has one of the highest concentrations of ancient trees in Western Europe, with many oak trees dating back more than 400 years. These woodlands are home to badgers and birds of prey like the goshawk. Walk or cycle quietly on one of the waymarked tracks that crisscross the forest and you'll soon encounter wildlife at close quarters, such as fallow deer at Boulderwood. The national park also has thousands of acres of lowland heath, brightened by yellow gorse in spring and purple heather in summer. Once common across southern England, the forest's wet valleys and dry heathlands are vital wildlife habitats. They are home to the UK's 6 native reptiles, colourful butterflies, and rare birds that nest on the ground. do stay on the main tracks from March to July to avoid disturbing their nests and young.
What's really important about the forest is the way that these different habitats are linked together. So you've got the open areas of heathland, these ancient woodlands we've got here are hundreds of years old, full of decaying, rotting wood with fungi and beetles and insects that are found nowhere else.
The national park also extends down to the coast. Here there are popular beaches, wildlife-rich salt marshes, lagoons and mudflats. The sea features strongly at Buckler's Hard, the 18th century hamlet where some of Admiral Nelson's navy was built, and Leap, where soldiers set sail for occupied France on D-Day. Walking is a wonderful way to explore these majestic landscapes. The New Forest also has strong links to some of literature's most memorable characters, particularly in Lyndhurst. Alice Liddell, the little girl who inspired Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, lived near Lyndhurst in later life, and her grave can be seen at St Michael and All Angels Church. Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of the famous fictional detective Sherlock Holmes, is also buried in the forest under a large tree in Minstead Churchyard. There is folklore and legend too, from the suspicious death of King William Rufus in 1100, killed by an arrow during a stag hunt, to Burley's White Witch of the 1950s, seen walking around in her long black cloak with her pet jackdaw sitting on her shoulder. One of the best ways to see many of these places during the summer is from the top deck of the New Forest Tour. Enjoy the views on scenic routes, listen to the onboard commentary, and hop on and off all day, including a stop right outside the New Forest Centre. You can also take your bikes on board, which you can hire from villages such as Bewley, Burley, Brockenhurst and Lyndhurst. The New Forest National Park is a special place, and you can help it thrive by exploring by rail, bus, bike, or on foot, buying local and leaving nothing behind but footprints. To learn more about the best walking and cycling routes and other ways to get around the National Park, please ask at the centre and begin your own New Forest adventure.